international relations student. I got tired of people telling me that all the great strategic concepts and diplomatic norms are from the Western world. And therefore, this idea of think for yourself, audit, ask yourself what were the good choices and the bad choices we made. And what were the choices we never made? Look at the roads not taken. Could we have done China differently, Pakistan differently, Israel differently, partition differently? And in thinking for yourself, I used actually the Ramayana epic as a illustrative example, because if you connect it to something which is there in everybody's, all of us know those stories. So if you tell someone an example out of our own culture and history and tradition, they say, oh, okay, I get it. So that is
so why don't you, so first of all, it would be lovely if you could tell us exactly how you use the epics, for example, to understand contemporary ideas. And secondly, why Ramayana? Because I would have thought if I had to choose one of the epics, I would have gone for the Mahabharata.
I have the Mahabharata in this book. So I tell you really what happened. I was going around. I had different language versions. I think it was, I forget, either the Marathi or the Gujarati book release I'd gone to. And somebody stood up in the audience, like you people, and said, have you ever thought about the Ramayana? Why don't you reflect on that? Does that have lessons? So I took it up as a bit of a challenge, really. I had not myself thought so clearly about it, but the more I got into it, and in fact I discussed it with a mutual friend of ours, Vivek Debroy, what are the lessons? And I give you just 3 examples, okay? Term diplomat. Okay, what comes to your mind? It's a diplomat, I don't know, Kissinger, Metternich.
Even Krishna.
I would say Hanumanji. Hanumanji, just look at it. He is being sent by Prabhu Sri Ram to a hostile territory. Say, go there, kind of figure out the lay of the land. We don't know anything about this place. We have no idea where Ma Sita is. So, it's a kind of an intelligence, understanding, recce, mission, very open-ended. And what does he do? He goes there. He actually is successful in the most difficult part of it, is actually to go and meet her and to keep up her morale. But he is able to actually get into Ravan's court by surrendering himself. He is able to understand the dynamics of the court. He actually is the only person who gets an understanding of Vibhishan, so that when Vibhishan finally defects and they're not sure is he a real defector or not, he's able to say, no, he's a good guy, he's on our side, we can use him. And then he's actually able to set the place on fire. Think of it, a diplomat going to a place and setting the place, not metaphorically, but literally on fire. Now,
have you ever attempted to do that?
Don't tempt me. So the point is, look, that's a great example of a diplomat. Now, I'll give you a very different example. Prabhu Sri Ram himself. What do you need when you say foreign policy diplomacy? What is it about? It's a common sense thing in a way. How do you maximize your friends? How do you purpose them for a job, a task at hand? How do you manage, because sometimes you have a large group of people, how do you manage all of them, create a coalition? Now, what are we trying to do today as Bharat? We are trying to increase our number of friends. We are trying to get different countries, all of whom may be a little bit, they may not all be on the same page, but we are trying to get them all together and work towards an end. Now, this kind of coalition building is very important. Now, look at, in his case, that the coalition that he assembles to actually go to Lanka. And sometimes, coalition building can be very difficult. He has, to give you one example, he has Angad in his coalition. He's actually killed his father, Wali. And yet he is able to motivate and persuade Angad to be loyal to him, to do his work, to represent him. In fact, Angad also goes as a diplomat to parley with Ram. So, coalition building, Prabhu Sri Ram's sort of skills, you can say. Or, in a way, I would say Ravan himself. Today when we look at the world and we assess other countries, Ravan is an example of what I would say strategic complacency. That Brahma has given him a wish and he invokes that he cannot be killed by anybody, but is arrogant enough to think that human beings don't matter at all. So he has brought his insurance against every other kind of creature.
Nuclear deterrent.
But with a strategic complacency chink in the armor. And then in a way his quest, the lack of restraint, the fact he antagonized, he's not able, he's carried away, the hubris. So I think each of these characters, when you apply them to the real world, you can see something familiar out there.
ಇದು ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ.
ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನ್ಯೂಸ್.